went to have a fun time on the beach with her daughter. And they're the police officers.
Well, we will be following your case, and we appreciate your time this morning, Emily and Mr. Dick.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for having us.
Uses, I have enough to go every day until we get this thing figured out, because I'm going to put a stop to it. I've got to put a stop to it. I'm going to tell you a little story about a law enforcement officer, not in this state. And he was a top cop, SWAT team trainer at the academy. He was our DARE officer in school.
My name is John Gansert. I am affiliated with the Seattle City Police Department. I retired, it'll be 5 years, March 1st. And I was in law enforcement for 25 years. I'm currently back into law enforcement, even after I retired. I work for our county sheriff's office, in charge of the Alternative to Incarceration program. When I went into the police academy, I was actually going to work for the department my father was the chief of at the time. He worked his way up to chief, and when I was halfway through the police academy, my father had passed away. So I never got a chance to work under him, but knowing my whole life was that way. So for me, getting into the police department was an honor for me to go and continue his legacy, so to speak, through my career.
And when our DARE officer came into school, he had a niece that was in our class. And our DARE officer, her uncle, spent the time in DARE class telling us about how bad drugs were and this and that and blah, blah, blah. And marijuana was bad and this and that. Well, her dad was one of the biggest dealers in town, and she didn't know it for years. And he got away with being a dealer in town for years because his brother was a cop, and his brother-in-law was a cop, and his brother's father-in-law was a cop, and the brother's mistress was a cop. And they had a couple family members in the municipal court. It's a completely separate issue from what we're dealing with here, I know that, but I've got to go back in this story to allow you to know where my position is with you. So, after all these DARE classes and us being told that marijuana is bad and people who deal with marijuana are bad people and they will hurt you and this and that, she had come home to finding her dad making a drug deal with some motorcycle gang members or something. And she saw all the marijuana. It caused her to go to the neighbor, and the neighbor took the information that she had bestowed upon him and used it to push his way into her life and wound up molesting her for years. And this girl was lied to by her uncle, which made her think that her father was a bad person, which pushed her into the arms of a man that molested her for almost a decade. And out of my 20 years of smoking marijuana, that is probably the only bad thing that I've ever heard or seen or witnessed about the plant. So I know you probably have some pretty preconceived notions that are set in stone, but maybe you should sit down and try to light one up and see how it makes you feel before you ostracize and humiliate and degrade people for trying to feel better, because that's what they're doing, because their reality doesn't match what they know is right in their heads. And marijuana allows a lot of people to tolerate what they see and what they know doesn't match be what is right. That's my belief. You might have some other stories. I'd like to hear them. I'd like to have some dialogue with you back and forth over this. But the truth of the matter is, you need to be careful on the message you put out there, because you don't know how it will affect the youth, in what ways. Now, there is a lot of drugs in our community. There's a lot of poverty and depression here. It's a beautiful place. Where we live is probably one of the most beautiful places in the world, and our facilities here take all that away just because they're so hideous on the inside of these little concrete buildings, and it takes away from all that beauty. And the people that are looking for help aren't finding help in your facility. They're not. They're getting stronger, and they're finding new ways to fight, but it's a slower process than it would be just to do what's right on the inside.